swimming inside my affection, but with you I came second, so I cut off the connection. And now you're calling me, holding your heart there inside your hands. You say I'm where you wanna be, but you're out of chances. No, you don't get to come back.
Good morning, good evening now, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday. Happy to have all of you here to another episode of High Top Sports. I'm your host for the evening, Sheldon P. Walker, and today we're going to be talking all things Florida versus Vandy, the takeaways from that, the good, the bad, the ugly, I guess. I'm sure some of you had some ugly, some frustrations. You guys called in and told me about it a little bit last night. Slept on it. This is what we do on Sunday. We sleep on what we saw on yesterday's performance. We digest it. We think about it a little bit. I take in what you guys say. I take in what Twitter has to say. And then we come in and we kind of break it all down. Okay? We're going to talk about the monster performance from Trey Wilson. The monster performance from Arliss Boardingham. Tight end one. DE one, baby. Big game for the young man. Loved it. Then we're going to talk about Mertz and his expectation. Is he living up to it? Is he doing his job? Could he do more? I think everyone was kind of in this weird place yesterday. It was the first that I saw during the halftime show to call him for Max Brown. Remind you, he threw, I think he had 6 incompletions yesterday with 3 touchdowns and threw for over 250 yards. And we're calling for his head. So just to kind of give you an idea of how this is all breaking out. But before we get into any of that, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and let's all go in there and have a good show. Also, an update on Kamari Wilson. So let's open up with that. So Kamari Wilson suited up yesterday. That was all that we heard. It was on the sidelines. I thought I saw him in at one time on defense, but I may have got confused with the numbers. It could have jumped up. I did not see him much more after that. Nearly at all. But it is good to see some progress because, mind you, he was left off the depth chart at the beginning of this week. So I thought we were going to go into that same boat, not seeing him at all. So working his way back onto the sideline, not quite sure what the dilemma is. Again, we all kind of expected possibly a portal entry from him, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Still working away, still grinding away. I love that. Love that he's still part of the team and still working at it. Hopefully things turn around and we can maybe he'll making some adjustments, and I think that's what the team is wanting from him, to make some adjustments, to find a different home on the football field. Maybe that's what happens. Again, it's very tight-knit. That's one thing we have not heard much of. Would love to hear more about that. Also, too, guys, just so you're clear, we're working on having a player interview sometime this week. Not quite sure who it is yet, but we were talking about it in the works this morning, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Should be a good one. Right now, the thought could be rhymes with pretty Ricky. That's where I'm going to go at. Not saying it's a guarantee, but it could happen. So could be a big week here for us. So to be tuned in for that. Should be an exciting one if we're able to land that. Also, again, smash the like button, subscribe if you're brand new here. But yes, Kamari Wilson, at least we saw him, making steps in the right direction. We'll continue to monitor. If we hear any more about it, be sure to let you guys know. But that's all I got for you right now. As for opening thoughts, I kind of have my take on things yesterday. Look, I mean, after we slipped on it, we got a W. That's the biggest takeaway. We went in, we handled business. I know it's Vanderbilt, but think about the Charlotte game. And in my opinion, we looked much better than we did against Charlotte in a weird way. And then after we had kind of, an 8-quarter skid on offense, felt like things got back to normal. Throwing for 3 touchdowns, over 250 yards for Graham Mertz. Montrell Johnson looked like Montrell flipping Johnson finally. And don't forget, we had some injuries on there. Austin Barber was dealing with an injury. I believe he played. Kingsley was out, so Slaughter was back in, which Slaughter's been doing phenomenal. But just we had some injuries that we were dealing with, so it wasn't like we were coming in there full health either, like we had been the first few weeks. So, look, this is something I brought up yesterday in the show, for the call-in show, with that one cowbell back. I don't want to go away. I don't want to not use Montrell or Trevor, but how we use Montrell and Trayon my opinion, should be kind of how we run the offense with Trevor and Montrell. I know you've got 2 really good backs, and you don't want to take away from one of the guys, but look what it did for Montrell when it knew that he was the guy. He was going to be the cowbell back, and Trayon just came in when needed, and Trayon had extreme success off that as well. I'm excited to see what he's freshman running back. Don't forget, boys. Averaged 7 yards a carry. Yes, maybe a little bit more, actually. I think he had like 7 carries for, I can't remember exactly his numbers. I've got Montrell's numbers pulled up and the team's numbers pulled up, which we're going to get into here in just a minute. But the biggest takeaway, too, that everybody was saying, kind of calling in, and I don't disagree with him, is that, look, we won. And if you look at the stats, which I'm going to pull those up right now, the stats show, like, look, we dominated the football game. It didn't feel that way, though, right? As fans, we have feelings, we have eye tests that we look for and things that we're expecting to see. It didn't feel, again, like a clean-cut game like I think we would want. But over almost 500 yards in total yards, 280 yards passing, 215 yards rushing, averaging 7 yards a play, so very effective. 25 first downs compared to 13. Third down efficiency, 5 and 12. Something that we have to continue to focus on and continue to get better on. That is a big factor that, look, you're going 5 and 12 against teams like South Carolina, Georgia, LSU. You're not going to be effective because you're going to be marching off the football field. So would like to see some more, obviously, focus on that. Fourth down efficiency, 1 for 1. Total play, 71. 3 punts. Penalties, again, 8 penalties for 70 yards. Obviously, a few of them, again, I don't mind the block in the back penalty on Boardingham. It's a little bit lazy, but at least he's playing after the ball. What else do we have? We had a pass interference. I think it was on R.J. Moten, the linebacker. A little questionable there. So those penalties, look, if we're playing hard-mouth football, right, and we're getting called because we're just, moving too quickly. We also had a roughing the passer from Caleb Banks. I felt like that one was a little over the top, but again, like, I'd rather have that mindset of a killer mindset where we're hitting somebody too hard, or maybe we're going over the top and taking a blow and having to have, hey guys, settle down a minute. I love the energy, but settle down. Those penalties I can live with. I don't want any penalties, but look, we're finding areas to grow in and to get better at. So those to me are, I'm okay with that. Had a few false starts as usual. No fumbles. They had a fumble. We had one interception. Obviously, it was Khalil Jackson, the flea flicker, which I tweeted out. Wasn't even mad. Love the fact that we added a little cocoa to the coffee there this morning. Time of possession absolutely dominated. Did exactly what we wanted to do in the sense of just controlling the ball and moving up and down the football field. What I loved to see too, also, is second half. Second half, I was my big concern going. I was like, we better not go out there and look conservative. We better not go out there and look flat. We were up 21-7 going into half, finished with 28. Could have had 40+, I believe, if we would have kept the ones in. And even the twos and threes came in. If we would have just pressed the pedal a little bit, we probably could have poked one in there if we wanted to eclipse 40. I wanted that selfishly. I wanted Billy to kind of set a statement. That's just not Billy's personality. And I think we are fighting against the tide here, hoping that Billy is going to hear this noise and adjust accordingly. I think he kind of set the tone that he gives two shits what we have to say as fans. And honestly, like, I don't hate that. It doesn't mind it because he's not easily persuaded or easily moved. And I think you want that in a leader, right? As much as we yell and we have depth threats that we're sitting to coaches, if you kind of say to you who you are as a person, I think you have to appreciate that and respect that. Whether we believe it's the right way or not, he's sticking to his guns. And I respect that and, again, appreciate that in my head coach. Again, be sure to smash the like button. Over 150 people in here. 44 years old, watch the likes of Lewis Oliver, my favorite Gator, Matthews, Rhett, Carter, Jack, Jackson, etc. If I learn one thing, it's enjoy W's. It's hard to win. They're all beautiful. That's a hell of a sentence. Hell of a sentence, Levi. They're all beautiful. Look, W's are hard to come by, boys. Right? W's are hard to come by. All right? We lost to Vandy last year. So let's not, big bounce back. Two teams that they lost to last year, Tennessee and Vandy, we won. Okay? Kentucky, we didn't get the redemption on that, but all in all, look, I think it was a very confident and dominant win that we expected. You could argue that it was 38-7 because the face mask on Jason Marshall, a little questionable, but I'm not going to get into, that's just, we're getting knick-knack, paddywhack on that one. The game was never in question. It was a little worrisome at first, ending the first quarter 7-7. Was hoping for a little more dominance early on, but they found the rhythm, got things going, controlled the offensive line. Mertz had a ton of time to throw. Obviously, the run game was extremely effective. I know it's Vandy, but it was something to build on is what excites me. But I'm super hesitant because we've got to go to South Carolina and we've got to get it done. South Carolina has not looked exceptional against anybody. Spencer Rattler has done a great job keeping that team somewhat afloat, but there's no reason we don't go in there at 3:30 and dominate that football game. I think Spencer Rattler, what he's able to do, his attributes, we've faced that in other quarterbacks, I believe with Joe Milton, Nate Johnson. So we've kind of seen a little bit of this running quarterback that can sling the football a little bit. We shouldn't be intimidated by it. The DBs, in my opinion, Jalen Kimber, huge step up for him this week. We talked about it on our Monday show with Stephen Harris. Criticized him, right? Just not looking excited, looking very lethargic. Played much better. Jaden Hill played much better. Jason Marshall, would love to see him have some bounce back. I think a lot of people had some question marks, kind of just didn't look like we want Jason Marshall to look. We had a lot of hype coming out of offseason camp that Jason Marshall was going to be the guy. Didn't appear to be that. So we'll love to see, obviously, more from Jason Marshall in the coming weeks. But the safety position, the quarterback position, really starting to find itself. Played a lot of man-to-man. They did a great job, in my opinion, playing man-to-man. I did not see much of Scooby, and I haven't heard what's going on, if there anything happened with Scooby. I can't remember if he was on the injury chart either. I know a ton of people were injured, so maybe that's where it was. But all in all, look, we got things to check off. We got a W. Mertz is completing over 80% of his passes, and I'm going to talk all about Mertz here in just a little bit. Arlos and Trey Wilson stepped up big time. Over 8 catches each. Fresh young guys out there doing the thing. Again, Bailey's recruits, Bailey's guys that we're going after. That has to excite us as Florida fans. That look, things are moving in the right direction. I know we had some people calling yesterday, getting frustrated, saying we suck and all these things. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on what we're doing better and how we're going to continue to get better. $2 from Stone Cold says, "Go Gators." Formations looked a bit different. It did look a little bit different, right? Eye test things looked a little bit different. Devin Moore needs to replace Jason Marshall. That was kind of the same. But look, I think something obviously with watching Billy the last 2 years, I don't believe he's going to rip somebody right off the football field. This happened last night in the Colorado Arizona State game. Kamari McClain got the start. Kamari got burned 2 or 3 times and then got ripped right off the football field. Now, that's a young guy getting burned. You're not going to give him as much leeway as a vet like a Jason Marshall. But I would like to see, like, hey, I know Jason Marshall's face mask got pulled. And in the interview after the game, the press conference, Billy goes, "Look, I heard that his face mask got pulled. We're going to go back and watch the tape and see what happened there." Obviously, kind of just saying, like, hey, it wasn't his fault. He got burned. But my frustration was the energy. You're not there to call the flag, right? You still need to play after it. It kind of just his lackluster play is what frustrated me. That was where I got upset. Was like, look, you didn't look like you cared. Once you did get pulled, you're just like, F it, he beat me. It is what it is. Something else that I want to note before I move on to our next topic is we talked about it last weekend with Stephen Harris. Cody was saying this, that, look, I'm putting this on the players. This week I felt like, hey, look, the play calling was better. Offensively, obviously, we still want more. We still want more pizzazz. I'm not going to get back to beating that drum. But defensively, the play calling seemed much better. It just was a few players here and there not executing their roles, which again, now how's coaching going to handle that? But that's another step in the conversation. We'll kind of see how that plays out. Over 200 people in here. Be sure, guys, smash the like button. It's free. Lets YouTube know that we're doing a good job. Keeps this thing afloat so we can, keep this bad boy rolling. So it means a lot. Lets us know that we're doing a good job too. So I really do appreciate it. Next order of business. So let's the elephant in the room, boys. You know what I'm saying? Get 3 the damn ball. Get that man the damn football. 8 receptions, 64 yards, and a tutty, my boy. I said in the halftime show, when that man touches the football, boy, it is something special to watch. I got to tell you. It's just, he literally turns nothing into something every single time. And the fact that he's healthy excites me. Look, man, when you've got somebody like that is that dynamic, and Ricky Pearsall is an incredible wide receiver, and he does a phenomenal job. He's got his catches, but Trey Wilson is something special. He's that Percy Harvin-like, where he's so exciting. Like Stephen Harris said, look, Percy, I mean, you got to show up to practice, but on Saturday he's playing. Like he's just one of those guys. Trey, probably should still go to practice. He's still young. But my goodness, when you get this man the ball in the open field, he makes anybody and everybody miss. And when you got somebody like that you got to pay attention to, it opens up everything else. And look, we haven't had in the last 2 games. And it's like, Sean, we should be relying on a player. You're probably right. But with a young team, it's nice to have a secret weapon like this to allow the rest of your team to find itself. When you can dump the ball off to Trey Wilson and, behind the line, I know it's just a little dinker. He takes it. He can get 5-6 yards every play. Well, now you're 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. Now we got an open playbook. We got some room to work with. If I need to get 3 yards, I'll just give it to Trey Wilson again. If I need 3 yards, give it to Trevor Etienne. Now, Boardingham's starting to find his rhythm, right? Big tight end, target to throw after. And then now we got also Ricky Pearsall. So these guys that, this young wide receiver group is going to start to find itself. And you got Andy Jean kind of hanging around. Khalil Jackson really starting to find himself, right? One player is doing that for everybody, and that part I love. I want to start seeing this man at kick returns too. The speed is just ridiculous. I know we had the 2 threes on the football field, so maybe there's a little bit of a PTSD putting him back there because of that. But Figure it out, boys. You know what I'm saying? Change the number if you need to, so we don't have to run into that. Because I know Brandon James was more of our punt return guy over Percy Harvin, but Percy Harvin also did that too. I mean, somebody like that, even on kick returns, put that man back there. He's just something special to watch, and he's only going to get faster and better as time goes on. What's crazy to think too, we had, I think, all but 3 guys that came in from this past class. All but 3 came in January. So like Kelby Collins, trying to think of this class, Treyon Webb, Najee Harris, right? Those group of guys, they all came in January. There's 3. One of the 3 was Trey Wilson, who didn't get here until June. Didn't get till June, and look how much of an impact he's making already. That's wild. That's wild. That's huge. That's big-time stuff. So hopefully, he'll continue to thrive and just be a big asset to this offense. Great to have him back. Look, I think not having him hurts it. You lose an entire leg of the offense when he's gone, because now the focus goes towards Ricky, and then it's okay, let's shut down Ricky. And Arliss found himself this weekend, but up until that point, he hasn't really found himself. Andy Jean's still trying to find his rhythm. You really kind of shorten up your offense when this one kid goes down. It's crazy to think, but that's where we're at. Look, I'm okay with it, right? It's a young football team. It excites me because he is only a freshman. So we've got at least, 3 years to see this man just do absolute work. Love it there. Again, smash the like button, boys. Show some love. Then another big game. Arliss Boardingham, boys. 7 receptions, 99 yards. Look, these guys blew Ricky. I think Ricky had like 3 catches for like 40 yards. So, look, and that's great. When your best wide receiver, and Ricky Pearsall is considerably the best wide receiver right now. I know we love Eugene, but right now Ricky's the guy. When you got 2 guys step up like this, that's huge. That means that, hey, we're growing in the wide receiver room. These guys are starting to find themselves, feel more comfortable. Now, I know we talked last night, like the Pitts comparison, right? Pitts didn't have the same success as early on, didn't have the ability to be this successful. Let's not get too carried away. But look, this is what we do as Gator fans. We try to compare what we have now to the greats that we had. Like, this reminds me of this reminds me of et cetera. And Boardingham is really starting to come into his own. His mom's always on Twitter tweeting out stuff, so I love seeing just the family, the family love behind this. But look, 2 touchdowns, 99 yards on 7 catches. You got to love it. A big game for Arliss Boardingham. Absolutely massive. Again, love seeing just the young guys get it going. He was a recruit from the 2023 class, dealt with an injury all year last year. I remember when we landed him, super excited just because, again, the tight end position I'm big on. I believe it's a huge pacifier for the quarterback. We see what Georgia does with tight ends. You need that position to be a big, healthy target for the quarterback for a team to be successful. And we've lacked that before and after Pitts. Feel like we're getting back into this with somebody like an Arliss Boardingham. And again, the kid's coming in this next class as well. I can't think of his name currently, but he also mirrors a big size. Now you imagine this, Arliss Boardingham, can't think of the young man's name right now, teed up, DJ Lagway. You got Trey Wilson, Aiden Mizell, right? Amy Jean. I mean, boys, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? What happened? You know what I mean? The future looks good. Future looks exciting, man. There's a lot of talent coming in and looking really, really good. Looking really, really good. Looking really, really good. Smash the like button, boys. Come on, let's get to 100 likes. But look, good stuff there on those things for those 2 young men. Just doing, again, a phenomenal job. Trey Wilson get 3 of the ball, and Boardingham has a breakout game. Love that for Boardingham, especially with Caleb Douglas, who obviously was finding himself last week, who was still out for a couple of weeks. So just think, man, we're kind of dealing with injuries. We're dealing with youth. We're going through all these things. Towards the end of the season, man, we could really be clicking here and ruin some seasons. I will say that. Look, we got a big game against South Carolina coming up this Saturday. Then we have a bye, which is going to be huge. Kind of a reset, a refresher. Then we head to Duval against Georgia. Going to be a massive game. Follow that is going to be Arkansas. So we got a big stretch coming up here in the next few weeks that the boys going to be dialed in. We are in it right now. We are fully in it, fully dialed, and ready to rock and roll. Real quick, great question. Thoughts on Miami choking? Look, Georgia Tech's a really good football team. They've been really dialed in. They beat Wake Forest last week. They're a hard knock football team. It's tough to kneel the football down when you're Miami, and when you're playing in front of 15, 25 people, it gets a little nerve wracking for Miami. So I get it. It's tough. Georgia Tech's really good. They're known for their football. It's Georgia, right? Oh, man. So, look, I kind of mentioned this a little bit before, but the cowbell back movement, right? Like, that's something we got to think about. I kind of already went into that, so I'm not going to any more of that. But let's talk about the five-star inside offensive lineman who visited this weekend with DJ Lagway. Both of them visited. This is an article. Oh, I lost the article. This is an article from Keith Napier. I do want to read what he had to say about his visit. And by he, I mean Jordan Seaton. Let me see here. I lost the article. Well, it was a great article talking about, the things that he liked to see and what he said. So biggest thing he said, he's, look, what I love about the Florida Gators is Billy Napier. Again, this was an article by Keith Napier on 3. This is what he spoke about, which is hilarious because we kind of give, Napier some shit. But Seaton said he loves his energy. He loves Billy Napier's energy. He loves how real he is. He loves that when he texts me, it feels like it's not robotic, right? And I'm thinking about this, I'm like, does he not watch the same press conferences that we watch? But look, I mean, this is something that we've talked about before. Like, we get frustrated with Billy and his ability to do certain things, but we keep going back to the fact that he is a great recruiter, and we hear great things about this. Even Seaton said, look, I don't care about the flash. I don't care about anything else. I'm here to see what the coaches can do for me. So after the game, we're going to go sit down with Rob Sale. I'm going to see how they coach up the players, how they break down the film. That's what I want to see and see what we're able to do. So this is what this tells me here, because we've been very critical of offensive lineman coaches and the recruiting on the offensive line side, because, again, we have a lot of talent coming in that I just mentioned that we're extremely excited about. There is something that we have fallen off on, and that is offensive line recruiting in regards to stars. Ton of 3 stars coming in. The size is there, and I've also mentioned too that recruiting offensive linemen isn't always to the true, as it is for athletes, because it's hard to truly grade an offensive lineman from high school. Understand all of that. That doesn't mean that there still isn't 5-star guys that we could be landing, and I love that we're getting size. However, and I was also in the boat, we've got 2 offensive line coaches. We can develop these guys really good. We're not really seeing that right now. So I'm starting to get a little more question marks, a little more concerned. So this is huge. If we're able to pull off a Jordan Seaton, a 5-star inside offensive lineman, the number 1 inside offensive lineman, that would be huge, especially after he states, here's what I'm looking for. If Rob Sale can go in there and speak to him the right way and say, hey, here's what we're going to do, then you got to think, okay, well, maybe we are moving in the right direction, and we are able, and he is able to recruit. This, in my opinion, it's got to be the biggest pull for this class. We land this class is going to look extremely healthy, extremely just moving in the right direction. So, well, again, we'll see how it plays out, but big visit. DJ Lagway was there as well. So obviously he has guys on his wish list that he's going after, that he's really targeting. He didn't visit when obviously Jeremiah Smith was there. Jeremiah Smith and Darius Hayes were in Miami this weekend. Darius Hayes did come out and say, look, I'm going there for a free visit. I'm going there to see what's going on. It's a great opportunity. I live close by. I'm still a Gator, because everybody was trying to make like a big deal about it. But them losing the way they did was just even better. So, but look, this is going to be a big pull here. We had a video just this past week. We talked about Florida's last targets for the Florida Gators. Seaton, LJ McCray, and Zay Mincy, those 3 massive targets for the Gators. Seaton, in my opinion, I know both Landon, LJ, and Zay both now moving into that 5-star category is huge. So I can't say which one is more valuable, but just where we lack, I feel like, the most talent right now, to be able to pull a big offensive lineman like this to protect DJ Lagway would be absolutely huge. Jeff Bishop says that you're committing. He's committing. You think so? It'd be huge. It'd be a massive pickup. It'd be a massive pickup. Cameron Waits. Yeah, Cameron Waits is going to be, he played much better, but he's coming off, obviously, his Achilles injury. He played a little bit yesterday, which is incredible to even think of, and he's going to make some strides as well. LJ McCray commits next week. Should be big, boys. Hopefully we're whipping out the spacesuit, getting buck nasty with it. I did say it was coming up in October. I didn't have an exact date for LJ McCray, but it'd be huge. Yeah, I want all 3. Don't get me wrong. I want all 3 too, boys. Don't get it twisted. I 100% want all 3. All right, last little bit here before we go. Be sure to smash the like button. We ain't even 100 likes yet. There's 206 people in here. Come on now. Even the Seminoles are liking the video at least. You know what I'm saying? Merch Mania doing his job. So, like I talked about kind of early in the show, Graham Mertz, people were, this is the first time that I saw calling for Max Brown's head, and then we come out of the half, Mertz gets hurt, and then like, whoa, maybe not. Maybe let's take it easy. So I pulled some stats. Before I get any shit for this, okay, let me preface by saying this. I compared Graham Mertz's first 6 games to Anthony Richardson. The reason I did that is because we all, as humans, have a short memory because we had Anthony, we'd be so much better. We had talent back there last year. I know some of you still felt like, hey, Anthony wasn't the answer last year. Anthony needed more time. I can only imagine what Anthony would do in the system this year, be exceptional. All that I'm saying is Mertz is coming in and doing what we wanted him to do, and he's doing it well. If you think he's going to throw the ball 85 yards from his knees like Anthony Richardson, you got another thing coming. He ain't going to do that. Can he get better at the long ball? Yeah, and he's extremely critical of himself of that, and I think he will continue to strive and want to get better at that. But I'm not making excuses. I'm simply pointing out the facts. I get hit with the sunshine pumper bullshit because I'm just sitting here having a logical conversation about the situation here. We lose Anthony Richardson. We lose Del Rio to the portal, and we lose homeboy, I can't think of it, due to the charges, which ended up being dropped, but who was supposed to come in and be the guy this year. And Jack Miller, obviously, which just wasn't, the case at all. So Graham Mertz coming in has done more than I think expected and anticipated, and he's not the reason we're losing. Now, the system doesn't bode well if we go behind, and I get all that, but let's take a look at these stats really quick of Mertz versus Anthony in the first 6 games. 6 games, Mertz has 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, compared to Anthony, who had 4 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. These are our first 6 games, okay? Almost 1,500 yards for Graham Mertz compared to 1,100 yards, 80% completion to 55% completion. Graham Mertz has been sacked 10 times compared to Richardson was only sacked 3 times in that time span. 2 things. One, the O-line that Richardson has, night and day difference, and his ability to run, obviously, Kitna, thank you. Assists on all of those things. Graham Mertz doesn't really have the rollout talent like Anthony Richardson did, but I think we all can agree that the O-line is not what it was last year. So if you're looking at this and thinking like, well, like if we would have Anthony or this or that, he is doing an exceptional job. He is doing what he came here to do in tenfold, and he's giving us the ability to win the games. 2 to 6 interceptions, massive. At this point, and you're going to say, well, the talent was different. Played Utah in this game. Both did. Both played Tennessee. Both played Kentucky. Richardson played USF and Eastern Washington in this span as well. So we played Vandy, who we lost to, we beat. So it's pretty equivalent on the talent level as well that both of these guys are going up against in 6 games. So let's not get too crazy again. I don't know how much of the hate for Mertz was. I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page, but I did see a little bit of negativity. I was like, whoa. Let's pop down and relax for a minute because he's doing his job. He looks good. He's playing hard, but he's getting knocked all over the place and doing his things. Look, is there areas that he can improve on? Absolutely. Is he holding on to the ball too much? Absolutely. Is he missing wide open passes? Yeah, for sure. He is. But he's also hitting the checkdowns. He's hitting the the slants and the curl routes and keeping the ball protected. And maybe sometimes because his interception rate is so low, because he is holding on to the ball too long, because he doesn't want to make a decision. So I wouldn't mind, look, if you said, hey, you got me down to 72% completion rate. You got me 3 more touchdowns, but 2 more interceptions, and maybe 300 more yards. I think that's a sweet spot. Don't be afraid to sling it. But I think where he's moving in the right direction, and he seems to be getting better and better with each week. And again, being the guy that we need him to be, Mertz has been him tenfold. So let's. I haven't seen too much of it, but let's pump it. Let's take it easy on the Mertz put in Max Brown campaign. All right. So Richardson couldn't complete a pass under 10 yards, and Mertz doesn't do well over 10 yards. Yeah, it's a little bit of a sweet spot. And look, I mean, if we play our system, we don't need to throw it 600 yards. If we go down, or if we're down 14, that's where we do struggle a little bit because Mertz can't just sling it like we'd like him to. But we will see. We'll see. We don't have a home game until November. Yeah, this whole month is gonna be a doozy one, boys. It's gonna be a doozy one for sure on how this month rolls out. But look, I think we've got to give Mertz his flowers. He's been exceptional. 80% completion thus far. I mean, come on, boys. That's awesome. Coming from Wisconsin, where he completed at 55%. Remind you, his stats looked identical to Richardson last year while playing at Wisconsin. So I also know that we critique Billy and his ability to assess talent, also develop talent. I mean, he has done exceptionally better, Graham Mertz. I think he has If there's any draft stock there, he has elevated it tremendously since coming to Florida. And mind you guys, I think we all have to kind of slow down for a bit too. I would expect Mertz to be back next year. I genuinely do. So it's going to be a Max Brown, Graham Mertz, and DJ Lagway. And all of a sudden, that quarterback room was like, yo, this is exciting. We've got a guy that we know we're going to get in Graham Mertz. And maybe another offseason under Billy, he could improve on some areas and throwing the deep ball, number one. Number two, Max Brown, we're extremely excited about, and he's extremely talented. The kid's a slinger. He can sling the football around. He's going to have another year under his belt. And obviously, we know in DJ Lagway. I think the one thing that Gator Nation's in pretty agreement on is we want to have DJ sit out for a year in the sense of grow and develop. I don't think he wants that. And look, whatever's best, I'm cool with. I want to see it unfold, honestly. Do I think DJ gives us the best opportunity to win next year? Who knows? I think first order business, we need to make sure we beef that lineup to make sure he's protected. But that's going to be more in the offseason and what we can do in the portal. So, look, Q Lee, I'm glad you mentioned this. That completion percentage is with dink and dunk passes and screens. The play calling that we're seeing right now is no different than what it was with Anthony Richardson. And look at the completion rate. I understand he can throw the ball a little bit further, but it wasn't like we were giving him the opportunity to sling it that much more than what we're doing now. The play calling doesn't look drastically different from either one of them. So, yes, I understand they're dink and dunk passes, but at least they're being completed. And when you have somebody like a Eugene Wilson and a Trey Wilson, these guys that are, making plays with the football, that's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. So, you gotta put some love on it, Q. Put some love on it. Give me a nod, bro. Yeah, dink or dunk or not, it's still 250 yards. Again, he's doing his job. Like, if you thought he was gonna come in there for 350 and look like him, you got another thing coming. But look, all in all, I think we made steps in the right direction, especially with the criticism they faced all week last week between wanting to fire coaches getting death threats, Gator fans being in a complete just frenzy with what we looked like against Kentucky, who got their ass clapped against Georgia, which frustrates me because we all kind of called it. I was preaching that. We even talked about it on Saturday's show. Felt that Georgia was going to clap that ass, and sure enough, they did. But look, it could have been a very easy week where you just fall flat on your ass, crumble. You come out looking lethargic because you're pissed off, you're beat up. But they didn't. They looked like they went out there and they worked on some things. They got better. There is still a ton of areas for concern, and that's where I think the negative fan base is like, we still suck. It's like, I hear your frustrations. I'm all in on that. We're a young team. I'm going to focus on the positive, focus on the light, on what's to move forward. And look, this is a big week. We got to go on the road, and we've got to look better. This bullshit of like we don't travel well is starting to piss me off, and I will lose patience very quickly if we look like dog shit next Saturday. I am for certain, 100%. So I'm going to keep my cool for now. Going to talk about it this week. Hopefully we'll get some insights on how practice is going. I know practice, Billy mentioned this in his press conference yesterday, that on Monday, he's like, yeah, it was bad. Monday sucked. We were embarrassed, and I love that. This press conference on last night was probably one of the best conferences of Billy's I've ever heard. He just felt very vulnerable, didn't give me a bunch of coach speak, just talked from his heart and gave you an answer because he was kind of raw, probably a little tired, so he wasn't able to keep his shield up. He even kind of called Mertz. I was like, yeah, he probably held on the ball a little bit too long. I liked it. A little bit of, bang, bang on that one. So it's a must win. I agree. It is a must win. You can't go out there and lose this football game. South Carolina hasn't looked exceptional. You can't say they're more talented. You can't say this or that. I don't want to hear this bullshit that, well, it's in South Carolina. Don't give me any of that. You went into Texas A&M last year and got it done. You need to go in there and get it done. Plain and simple. So I don't know what they're going to do this week, but you got to change what you've been doing. Maybe. They probably won't because it's Billy. And he keeps it pretty simple. He's not going to change anything. But hey, smash the like button. We need 4 for 100 likes. I appreciate you guys coming in here on this Sunday. NFL football has started. Be sure to turn the bell on. We'll be going live tomorrow with Stephen Harris and Champs Corner to talk about some breakdown film. I know he was more excited about what he saw yesterday, so it's going to be great to hear what he has to say. I'm going to get with him on anything that he has that he wants to break down. You guys really enjoyed that last week. I know that I did, so we'll do that. Then on Wednesday, of course, we're going to have our show. We've got Josh Prey set up to come on next Wednesday. As of now, things may change if we have a player looking like it could be Ricky Pearsall or somebody else could be joining the show with us as well. So a jam-packed week coming up for you guys. Try to put on a banger of a show. And tonight, 7:30, we'll be going live at 7:35 for our college recap show where we talk all things college football. So if you guys want to come hang out with us, that show is also a banger and a good time. Love you guys. Be good. God bless. I'll see you next time. Oops. Wrong song. Peace, boys. Be good.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move.